possibility of adding to our list of heroes that we currently have. Now, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has announced that cultural legends Louise Bennett Coverley and Bob Marley are to become the first Jamaicans to be invested in the new Order of National Icon. But is this enough in honoring them? Before we go to our guest, let's see the results of a poll that was done on social media. Twitter says national icons 61%, national heroes 39%. Instagram, national icons 62%, national heroes 38%. Instagram stories, national icons 57%, national heroes 43%. Facebook, national icons 32 votes, national heroes 8. We're joined by culture and gender activist and CEO of the annual Louise Bennett Coverley Festival, Professor Opal Palmer Adisa, on Zoom, and she's going to give us her take on this discussion. Good morning, Prof. How are you this morning?
Good morning, and I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Prof, you've been one of the persons leading this discussion. We are now where we are. What is your take on this?
Well, first of all, it is clear from the polls, right, that Louise Bennett and Bob Marley are cultural icons. We know this. There is nothing that can detract from this. But I think that what is larger, it's an important step, but it is not the step. We need to look at and review who are our national heroes, what is the criteria, and do Bob Marley and Louise Bennett qualify? Well, I am unequivocal affirming that they do qualify for national heroes because, yes, we have cultural icons who inspire us and who spread our cultures. A national hero does more, and I think both Louise Bennett and Bob Marley have done more. They not only inspire, they empower, which I think is an important thing, that, when we think of Paul Bogle, when we think of Marcus Garvey, when we think of Nanny, there's an empowering feeling and attitude about them that makes us feel like we can transform our society to be better and more equal. And Bob Marley and Miss Lou have done that in numerous ways.
Prof, can you tell us high level, I don't know if that's what Harris have over there, but what are the requirements? That's what you put them. Me know. Do you have them over there, Harris?
All it says, it's given only to Jamaican citizens for services of the most distinguished nature to the nation.
So, Prof, do we need to be looking at that requirement?
Well, we certainly need to be looking at the criteria.
And breaking it out, drilling it down some more.
Drilling it down some more, because that is very broad and very vague. It doesn't give us any specificity, right? And so if we look at the body of our national heroes that we have now, we have to say, how do Bob Marley and Louise Bennett measure against those? So here is one of the things that I want to point out, because I said about inspiring and empowering, which both of them have done through Miss Lou in multiple ways, through her art, right? If it wasn't for Miss Lou, and I don't call it patois, and I think we need to really disband of that term, it is the Jamaican language. A language, all things start off as dialect or whatever, and it becomes a language when there's a dictionary.
Right.
And there a dictionary, people, and in fact, at least 2 universities that I know of, because I was contacted, people have used the Jamaican language as a second language requirement for a graduate degree. Now, I'm not talking about those people who are still with a colonial mind who say we talk in dialect and is bad English. Miss Lou disbanded of that many, many years ago. It is a language. So here is what Miss Lou has done. And I will say this unequivocally. If it wasn't for Miss Lou, we probably wouldn't have a Bob Marley and all of the dub poets. Because what Miss Lou did, and it obviously it was a very brave and determined act. She legitimized our language. She said the way we speak and how we speak was not only important, but it was able to translate and communicate all of our emotions and our feelings. That is phenomenal. That's what a national hero does. It inspires not just a small community, but the entire nation to feel proud about who we are and that we have a language. And internationally, despite what a few people might say, people don't come to Jamaica to speak the Queen English. They come to Jamaica to speak Jamaican nation language and to hear reggae music and music that speaks about a people rising up from the fields of enslavement to the streets of Kingston and Montego Bay and Ocho and Linstead. And that's what they've done.
When you look at countries like Barbados that have conferred the Order of National Hero on Rihanna, does this make a statement about how we view the importance of culture or value culture in our own society? That we feel, okay, you've done something in culture and you're going to be honored for that, but culture still cannot be recognized or embraced at a certain level in our society.
Absolutely. And I think, Barbados and Mia Motley have certainly opened the door for us to relook at and examine who we are and how do we want to go forward as we move towards, a republic and defining who we are. And certainly Miss Lou and Bob Marley have they've gone beyond the boundaries of culture. They're not just limited, and not that culture is limited, because culture is the base on which we sit or on which we stand. But certainly Louise Bennett and Bob Marley have broken way beyond that. The global branding of Jamaica is posited on those two people. Miss Lou was recognized by Google 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So that our culture is the foundation of who we are, and a national hero, a national heroine comes out of that, stands on that, raises us up on our shoulders on that, and both of them have done that. And their work, which is also a marker, their work continues to inspire, not just Jamaicans. I speak to so many people throughout the Caribbean, the other islands, Eastern Caribbean and other islands, who know of the work of Miss Lou, who studied the work of Miss Lou, and who know of the work of Bob Marley.
But Prof,
of course, we know of the international presence.
Yes. But the interesting thing out of Dahlia's question, I'm piggybacking here, is culture at a certain level, because that's a very important piece. I mean, I remember when Neville Willoughby was alive, God rest his soul, and he used to tell us the stories about how Bob used to come down here and we wouldn't let him inside the building. He had to knock the library from outside, knock the glass to get his music inside. And then he went away and he was accepted by the world. And then all of a sudden we embraced him. So is it about culture, or is it about a particular type of culture for a particular type of person who espouses a particular type of doctrine in a particular type of packaging?
You have knocked the nail on its head. And we as a Jamaican people need to understand our classist bias and even our racial bias. And that the fact is there are certain cultures that are relegated to the masses, the lower class, and until the world, and even when the world embraces it, certain sector of this population that do not embrace it. Right? And that's partly of what you're talking. That example you gave is so keen about Bob Marley being excluded. There's still many people, there's still some people in Jamaica in certain classes who still don't think Bob Marley is worth anything, even though he brings us billions, yearly and is internationally acclaimed, because he is belong to that sect that is still denigrated in our society, the Rastafarians. Miss Lou elevated the language and culture of the so-called common person, and we're still, want to be, even though the Queen is dead, still believe that is the measure of culture.
Hegemony.
Yes.
Hegemony is hegemony. It's what we used to study in school.
And that's what we're still fighting against,
Yeah.
you know. And so the Jamaican people have to say, we have to define who our heroes are in this time and in this place because of how they make us feel and what they do for us. And if those are some of the criteria that we're breaking down and we're putting it against some of the other heroes and heroines, then for me it's very clear. So, you know, I want to applaud our Prime Minister for creating this category, but this category is merely, as far as I'm concerned, the first step towards really honoring those people and Louis Bennett and Bob Marley as two important cornerstone of our culture and of our heritage and in moving us forward in this century and beyond.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah.
I know there are some national icons that are out of sports, and there are national icons out of arts as well. But I do believe that these two belong in national hero.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
the debate continues, Doc. We have to run, but thank you so much. It was I really enjoyed
Thank
this
you so
discussion.
much for yes.
Keep it going
Yes.
in your own circles, folks, because you know that's the way to get change made.
Absolutely.
Culture and gender
Absolutely.
activist and CEO of the annual
Thank
Louise
you.
Bennett
Bye-bye.
Coverley Take Care Prof Festival, Professor Opal Palmer Ajiso.
Yeah. After the break, we meet the Jamaican who copped the Global Health Leader Award, the Suka.